What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is The Flash Season 4, Episode 22, Think Fast. So, ultimately, things are finally getting up to the climax of the season, getting very, very exciting. So, a couple things just to touch on real quick. First of all, a couple things I'm really, really curious about. First of all, so Caitlin and Cisco, they go through the whole thing where they have to go into flash time to save the people inside the base. But whenever Caitlin's doing it, she has a flash of a memory, and she's talking to that one therapist that the team has been talking throughout this entire season to. And this was probably the weakest interaction that they've had with her. Like, I don't know. I really love some of her reactions earlier in the season when they're talking about all this stuff that she has no idea what they're talking about, and she's like sitting there like, "What is going on? This is weird." This one, though, she's just talking to Caitlin normally, and by the end of it, she's like, "Oh, I charge by the quarter hour." Like, she's all enjoying this now. It's just not as fun whenever the person who was being, like, freaked out by stuff earlier in the season is now just fully enjoying it. It's not as fun anymore. Anyways, Caitlin does have some sort of memory, though, that apparently she's suppressed, just like the therapist was talking about. And so she has Cisco vibe her to that memory at the end of the episode. And we see that she had a bike accident. Her foot got caught, and she either got hit by a car or nearly got hit by a car. And so she goes to grab a mirror, looks in the mirror, and she's Killer Frost as a kid. And so my first reaction is, well, how is that possible? And then Caitlin was like, well, how is that possible? I'm just like, stop saying what I'm saying. I want to know what's going on. So somehow, even before the particle accelerator had exploded, she still had the Killer Frost powers, which makes me think, so is Killer Frost not a metahuman ability? Is she really? What's going on? I want to know what's going on. It's people who've read the comics maybe already know what's going on. I don't. I have no clue. So I'm really curious to see what's going to come of this. And I guess more than likely that means Caitlin will be able to find Killer Frost again because of this knowledge. I don't really know how. With that being said, though, aside from that, we see Barry trying to stop DeVoe, and of course does, but then he doesn't because DeVoe finds another way around it. And that really feels like what this season has been. Now, there's two things to this. First of all, it does show how solid a villain DeVoe really is, because there's no thing that they can do that can stop him. Where with Savitar, it was a little different because it felt like they tried something, but then it was already stopped. Because Savitar was Future Barry and knew what they were going to try, and so he was able to stop them before they could do it. With DeVoe, it feels like he just has a backup plan for everything. So no matter what they do, even if they stop it, it's like a kind of a joyous moment where like, hey, we did it. And then they're like, oh, wait, no, we really didn't do it. Like, they're still, even with Marlise leaving, I thought, is that going to throw a wrench in his plans? No, he just keeps going exactly what he was doing before, except now he doesn't have the baggage of his wife telling him that he's wrong. So it's almost like he's even more powerful now. So I don't know. It's interesting, but it's also kind of, we've seen it before. It's just a little different. I guess it depends on what you're looking for as the audience. For me, personally, I really like DeVoe because it is showing how good of a villain he is. It is showing how powerful his mind is, that he's able to account for all these different things that they could try. It could account for the fact that they were going to destroy a satellite. I mean, that's a pretty powerful mind. So I personally like that little change to it, where it's not we try this and then it fails. It's we try it, it succeeds, but DeVoe's plan still goes forward anyway because he's already accounted for that. That just, in my opinion, it makes the team even more. It makes the struggle even more for them because they have that moment of, we stopped the satellite, guys. Yeah, high fives all around. We the best. Woo! And he's getting our satellite. Now we're screwed. He won anyway. And for me, that makes it even more frustrating to deal with for them. But I could see where some people might look at it and say, well, yeah, they did the same thing with Savitar. Savitar was able to predict their every move because he was Future Barry, and so, well, I mean, that's not as fun to do the same story again. So it just really depends. It's kind of an up in the air type of thing. The other thing that was, in my opinion, it was frustrating for me because Iris, her character's really been weakened, in my opinion, for this season. because she was starting to actually become a good part of the team. She was starting to help out, kind of direct people. She wasn't the smartest and she didn't always understand the science mumbo jumbo, but she understood where everybody's abilities were and she understood how to utilize those abilities to the best. She's a very good strategical thinker. So I really liked how she had started to be involved in the team a bit more. However, they started weakening her character at some point throughout the season. I don't remember when, but at some point it really did start to feel like they're kind of not really using her as effectively. I know the first one that really got me thinking, man, she's just not as effective this season is Run Iris Run, where they start talking about, oh, she doesn't have power, so she's not effective anymore, guys. That whole thing was stupid. This episode, it feels like her emotions are getting the better of her, where normally, Harrison is talking about, oh, we can use Marlise against DeVoe. She wants to stop him. She wants to get her husband back. She just immediately shuts it down. She's like, no, there's no way that's possible. Harry, that's not going to happen. And it's only because Marlise stabbed her with a katana earlier this season. And I get the fact, okay, I can understand that you might still be a little bit upset about the katana thing, but strategically, she did leave DeVoe, which means there's still a good chance she might want to help. But she just instantly shuts that idea down. No, that's not going to work, Harrison or Harry. It's not going to work. Leave. I don't need you anymore. Go away. She was so trying to incorporate him earlier in the episode, and then as soon as he brings that idea up, she just shuts him down, and then that's it. In my opinion, that's just again weakening her character by making her more emotional than a strategic thinker, and that's what she's been good at up until most of this season. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me. In my opinion, it just makes her seem not as strong of a character. To let herself be so ruled by emotions when she really shouldn't be as the leader of the team. Well, leader, the one that makes all of those decisions that are more logical and not as emotion based. So, but ultimately they do go find Marlise. They do try to get her to help. I'm pretty sure she's probably going to because that's the only thing that DeVoe can account for. It seems like is human emotion. Because really, it feels like he's planned for a lot of stuff. But whenever somebody makes an emotional decision or their emotions get the better of him or her, that's when it seems to, I guess, really make a difference. And I know it's funny, I'm saying, Iris shouldn't have the emotions get the better of her. But in all honesty, Marlise, if the emotions got the better of her, she would actually stand up to DeVoe and say, no, this isn't right. And so, in my opinion, that's why the emotions are important there. But as far as Iris making the decision of whether or not to use Marlise, ultimately they probably should because that's somebody close to DeVoe and she would be able to help them and tell them what his plans are and all that. So, I don't know. I'll be curious to see how it ends. I really hope they don't just go kind of a route of Marlise talks to him and manages to find his better side and then stops. I don't know. I don't want it to be that simple. I hope they actually struggle with it a bit. Find a way to, I don't know. I'm really trying to think of a way that would be okay for it to end. Because, you really can't take him on at this point because he's too powerful. So I don't really know how they would stop him in a fight. So I know there is going to have to be some emotional stuff involved. But I just don't know how. I don't know what the plan is. Maybe, she does have the chair. So there's a possibility that she could end up using the chair against him and taking all of his powers or giving somebody some of his powers type of thing. We'll see. We'll see what the plan is, but overall, I am looking forward to the final episode. Looking forward to seeing how it all ends, so I'll see you guys there in just a second. And finally, the season finale, episode 23, We Are the Flash. So pretty much managed to stop DeVoe in this one. I will say I kind of called a little bit of this episode going into it. So first of all, whenever Barry runs into Ralph inside of DeVoe's mind, my first thought is, they're not going to find the good DeVoe because basically they're going to get Ralph out and he's going to take control back of his body. And that's pretty much what happens. There's a bunch of evil DeVoes. The good DeVoe's already been killed off. I don't know. There's a part of me that wonders why they kept Ralph alive. I guess because it is Ralph's body, so if they killed off Ralph, then technically they would be killing off the mind that controls the body. something mumbo jumbo with the mind and the technology. Anyways, but they do manage to find Ralph. Barry and Ralph managed to get through a horde of DeVoes, which was it was pretty fake looking, but it was also kind of like really I don't know something really fun and goofy about it all. Which this is a show that does tend to take itself a lot more fun, and so it's not all serious. And so seeing a bunch of like CGI DeVoes come at them, and they're just like sitting there doing like swinging Ralph around in a circle, something about that just really made me laugh. And I'm just like, looks awful CGI wise, but it's pretty funny. But they managed to get through a bunch of DeVoes, managed to get Ralph out so he can take control of his body back. DeVoe manages to do one more thing with the chair before he fades out, which I thought was going to be like, okay, so is this leading to some ultimate battle? Not really. Marlies just basically takes the power out of the chair because he was using his Kilgore powers to control it, and then that's it. Pretty much done. So the last thing that happens is some satellite fall to the ground. What was weird about it is I assumed all 5 of the satellites would, but just one did. Or no. I think it was because he tossed up the 5 satellite things that controlled the one big satellite that fell. I think. I don't know. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so that's one satellite. Where's the rest? And then they didn't talk about another one. I'm like, well, what happened? Now I'm thinking it may just be because he built those little 5 small satellites, so they didn't really create something that would worry us. Ultimately, Barry manages to like build up enough force, goes to punch it, and then time reverses. And you see him do it again, but this time another speedster shows up, and of course they already showed, the who turns up to be, of course, Barry and Iris's daughter, Nora. They already showed that she was a speedster as well, so she reversed time. I don't know why. Here's the thing. At the end, she's like, "Hi, I'm your daughter, Nora. I think I made a big, big mistake," which I think pretty much everyone could have guessed that's going to be their daughter based on every clue that they gave us. A lot of it just built up to, okay, yeah, we know she's their daughter. And so I was really worried that it was just going to be like he opens the door and she's like, "Hi, I'm Nora. I'm your daughter." What? And the season ends. That would have pissed me off because I'd be like, that's not a shock to anyone but the characters, Like it's not a shock to any one of us. So she actually comes into their house and she's like, "Hi, I'm Nora. I'm your daughter. And I think I made a huge mistake." That is a better cliffhanger for me than just, stop. This is a problem with trying to do reviews with dogs around. They sometimes like to try to ruin your reviews. But that is a better cliffhanger for me than just saying, "Hey, I'm your daughter," and then going, "That's shocking." So I'll be curious to see what the big mistake was. I kind of feel like it has something to do with the fact that she helped Barry punch the satellite and destroy it. So in my opinion, what I was kind of thinking was, okay, so she reversed time because when Barry punched it, it ended up destroying him as well. And so that's why she reversed time, to make sure she was the one to help him, so that way he didn't die because of it. But now that she's saying I made a big mistake, my thought process is, no, I think she did that, and because of that, time has changed in a severe way. Don't know how, don't know what that would have changed, but I feel like that's going to be kind of the story for next season, is that punch that she did caused something bad to happen in the future, and either she's going to be slowly fading away or something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure what's going to cause that. So I'd be really curious to see where that's leading. Aside from that, we have some wrap-up stories. Marlies decides she's going to go back out into the world and help people. And then we also see Harry. They do manage to get his brain back. I wasn't sure where this was going because at one point he starts saying like a bunch of stuff, and Sisko's like, he sounds exactly like Barry right when he came out of the Speed Force. And so my thought process is, okay, so he's been fully enlightened. What does that mean? Like, so Barry was fully enlightened? Guys, seriously, I'm in the middle of a review here. What's your problem? I don't get it. I just don't get it. All right, come here. You're going to be annoying. You get to be a part of the review. So I don't really know what that could possibly mean. I don't know what it means that Barry came out of Speed Force and he was talking like someone who was already fully enlightened. I don't know what that could possibly mean. So I'm really curious to see what that meant. But then all of a sudden, they just get Harry's brain back, except for the smart part of it. He's a normal guy now. who's able to feel and stuff, and he decides he's gonna go back with his daughter. They did have a couple funny moments in there though, because he's sitting there and he's just like, "You have always and always will be my friend." He's like, "God," and that was funny. And then Iris looks at Barry. She's like, "Star Wars." I don't know why. That just cracked me up. The look on Barry's face is like. But he does manage to go back to his daughter on his Earth, but he's a normal guy now. And so I kind of worry that they're just not going to address what that meant. The fact that he sounded just like Barry when he came out of Speed Force the first time. I feel like they're just going to blow that over. And I feel like there's got to be more significance to that, you know? Like, it can't just be, oh, he sounds like Barry when he came out of Speed Force. Well, I guess that's it. See you, Harry. Go back to your daughter. So, yeah, that's about it for this episode, though, overall. I mean, it was very good. It was still enjoyable. Maybe not quite the ultimate climax that you were expecting, you know, facing a bunch of CGI DeVoes. But, you know, it wrapped up fairly well. There was a lot of good emotional moments. I thought they did handle Marlise's character well enough to where I could see her helping the team and then ultimately saying, you know what, I'm going to go back and I'm going to just pick up where I left off, you know, just help the world with my mechanical inventions. Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see her doing that because that fits in with her character. So, yeah, ultimately, good season. I really enjoyed it. I really feel like I do think it's kind of an underrated season because I think a lot of people I've heard complaining about it. I looked at the ratings on IMDb. A lot of episodes this season were not really rated that highly. So I can definitely see that a lot of people were not enjoying it as much as I did. I think a lot of it just came down to, you know, whether or not you could like the Thinker as a villain. You know, whether or not you thought he was a good villain. In my opinion, I thought he was because, first of all, he's different than most of the other villains. I realized it was kind of similar to Savitar in that he was able to predict a lot of the team's moves, and so it was similar in that respect, where it felt like the team couldn't really do anything to stop his plans. But in my opinion, he was a more relatable villain, and I feel like it was better in the fact that, okay, hang on. Apologies for that. Part of the problem whenever you're not really much of a video editor and you just kind of record and just have to pause and record again. Not really much you can do whenever distractions come your way. You're just going to have to deal with it and then hope for the best. But anyways, like I was saying, the season really does come down to whether or not you think that the Thinker is a good villain. In my opinion, he was because it was different enough, he was relatable enough, and, of course, I feel like the differences between his plans and Savitar's plans, it made it a little bit more heartbreaking for the team at times because it felt like at moments, hey, we won, hey, we did it, hey guys, we got through it, we managed to stop him, or we managed to stop this part of his plan. But ultimately, he had already accounted for them stopping him at that venture, or he'd already accounted for what they were going to try to do, and so he had a backup plan. And so it just made things a little bit more, I think, saddening or a little bit more heartbreaking whenever they found out, no, we didn't do enough. We didn't stop him. So yeah, ultimately, I really enjoyed this season. There were a couple episodes, which for The Flash is kind of a downgrade because I can't think of any episodes in the first 3 seasons that I was just like, man, this episode was awful. But there were a couple in this one. Run, Iris, Run was definitely the worst episode that The Flash has had. And then there were a couple others. You know, Girls' Night Out was one that was rated really lowly. I didn't have as much of a problem with it, but it definitely wasn't as strong. And then Harry and the Hendersons was another one, was just not as enjoyable. It kind of felt like a repeat, but not as funny. So that's about it for the season, though. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the season overall? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Flash reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.